What's up and welcome everybody to our second dev Q&A for Stuntfest World Tour. I am joined today by one of our awesome programmers, Christina. Christina, how are you? You well?
Yes, hi. I'm very excited for this interview and to be here, and I'm well.
Good,
Well,
good. Have you done any interviews like this based around your work before or
uh, not really, nothing like this. No, it's very new.
fair enough. So if people were to ask you what it is you do professionally, what would you say?
Yeah, I'm a programmer here at Pow Wow, and I'm um, implementing features that we need in the game.
Yeah, awesome. And is Pow Wow your first game dev role or have you worked prior?
Yes, for game dev, it's my first time.
Mhm.
I'm so actually I joined in a year ago in April,
Yep.
so it's really just 1.5 years. Feels so much longer already. But yeah, it's only 1.5 years, and before that, I was just working as a normal programmer. Yeah,
Do you prefer working in games than just like normal programming?
yeah, I do actually. I think it's much more rewarding and interesting in
I guess the
overall.
the output is quite different compared to normal programming because this time you get something visual that you can pick up and play with a controller.
Yes, first of all, this that you actually get to play while developing is a big bonus. But also, um, I think it's also more just the project itself.
Mhm.
It's just more interesting to develop features for something like this.
Good, good.
Uh, yeah,
'Cause I mean, it's only been 3.5 months for myself, but I'm already noticing within the games industry, just seeing how quickly things change from iteration to iteration is crazy. I
yeah.
went from one week to the next week, and the game that I was playing looked in some areas completely different. But I
Oh
guess
yes.
it also comes with like its unique challenges as well.
Yeah, totally. And also, you want to do this before after things, right? Where
Yeah,
you have the
yeah,
footage from just a few years or months ago,
that's
and then
correct. Yeah.
compare it with the footage from today, and it's then you can really see
Oh
the
yes.
difference. And yeah, it's often that we have to maybe completely refactor something or completely throw away a feature that we did earlier. I mean, we try to avoid it, but sometimes, it's so crazy. Decisions are being made, and then suddenly this is not important anymore.
Have you
And
ever had anything where you've worked quite hard on it and then it's had to be dropped and you're like, really? After all the work I put in?
yes, yes, we had this situation. I also at this point, I don't know if he will watch this, but yeah, shout out to Lawrence, our previous intern, because he and me were working very hard on getting some physical animations to work
Mhm.
in like doing acrobatics in the air,
Okay.
and we were really working so hard on it. And but we had I don't know, just some
Sometimes
problems
things don't
with,
work out.
yeah, exactly. And we had to I had to delete that code almost entirely. It's not in anymore, I'm sorry. And
Well,
we do it we handle this differently now.
so in terms of what you're working on now, is there anything that if you were to tell people who play the game to look out for specifically that you've worked on, is there anything that you'd like to direct them towards?
Well, okay, so I mean, within the programmer team, I'm working the most on the character.
Mhm.
So I'm working a lot together with the animator also to trigger all the animations at the correct time,
Yep.
and that from the moment you eject from the car and then you are in the air, and then you do these jumps that we call nudges,
Yep.
or you use the gadgets and you switch to gliding around. And uh, all of that is I had my hands in all of that.
Okay, so it's thanks to your code that when I press the A button on my controller, the animation starts and my character moves and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, not 100%. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
other people are
It
involved, but I had my hands in that code somewhere
Yep.
at a certain
That's
point.
cool. It's such a unique sort of experience to see firsthand as someone who's always played video games, to then see all these people from these different schools who insert a little bit of themselves here and a little bit of themselves there, and then the final product is just this little bit of everybody put together for this final form, and it's so cool to see things come together. Did you ever think you'd get into video games when it came to programming?
Yeah, it was actually always a goal of
Okay,
mine.
cool.
So I worked, I think I was working towards it.
Mhm.
Yes, I wanted this, and um, I was maybe a bit hesitant at some points, but overall I really wanted it. And then when I got the chance to apply here, and then they took me, I was overall really super happy that it
Awesome.
finally I could really be a game programmer.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So how long have you been programming altogether?
well, not well, I did university,
Yeah.
and then after I got the master degree, and I was already 25. And then I guess I just right now all my experience summed up is like 6 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
yeah.
Because like some people, I mean, I've seen some people who jump straight in after they've done university to some people who've worked in banks and all over these places, and then
Oh
eventually
yeah.
step into it.
Yeah, we even have some people like that on the team who are completely coming from somewhere completely different area, like a
Mhm.
photography or something. And I
Yeah.
but for me it's not like that. Uh I think rather straightforward programming.
Yeah, I mean, it's different paths for everybody there, really, isn't it? And I suppose when it comes to making games now, you've finally done it. Now it's just a case of expanding your knowledge when it comes to video games specifically, and then moving on into bigger and more badass projects. And I mean, I think Stuntfest is an absolute phenomenal project to probably have as your first game, considering everything we're accomplishing.
Yeah, and also I think, I mean, I don't know. I felt a lot of times that it was quite the sophisticated project.
Hmm.
Not only, I mean, first of all, it's a multiplayer game, and I didn't expect this myself, that making something multiplayer would be such a big difference from developing something single player. It's
Yeah,
just you would naively think that, ah, okay, I just make the server client connections and then everybody can just
yeah, it's
play
so
with each
easy.
other. But it's really it's no, it's so much can go wrong, so much can go wrong in the
I'm
yeah.
already noticing where one day it'll be like, yeah, everything's fine, and then someone will go to start the game, and then something will fall off, and it'll be like, okay, everything's not fine. Quickly, everyone, let's have a quick meeting.
Yeah,
And it's
that's,
it's always fun to be because you do kind of have to think on your feet quite a lot of time when it comes to the problem solving.
yeah, but that's also, I mean, it's also what you kind of like. I guess every
Hmm.
programmer, or you wouldn't be a programmer if you don't actually enjoy also finding problems. Like
Yeah,
I I think if I really like also just debugging something, and just like stepping going also like thinking about it in my head. Okay, what's the order of events? How is this happening here? And then why is it different? Why is it maybe not like it's supposed to be? And
yeah,
then I'm like just like to think about these kind of things and getting it to work eventually. That's the rewarding part also. But of course, now we right now we are preparing for some of stunts
yep.
and for our for our event. And now is a time where we really try to get to the bottom of some really difficult bugs
Hmm.
uh, that we still have unfortunately in the game, and those are already really tricky. And there is the time pressure, you have the
Yeah.
milestone coming closer, and it's and then yeah,
Do you
then
find
it's
you work better under pressure, or do you not like the pressure?
no, I don't work better under pressure. i
Yeah.
i think yeah, some people do, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I definitely find as a creative person, when there's more pressure, you're like, oh well, I won't put a little bit of time into here, or I won't put a little bit of time into there. Whereas when you don't have the pressure, you can really let yourself explore on all the different ways to solve certain problems.
Yeah, and sometimes also maybe the solution comes overnight, and I would actually like to be able to just, like, sleep over it now, and
Yeah.
then but in this moment, I know, no, I should really solve it now because it's so urgent. Yeah.
I always find that I'll solve a problem as I'm about to go to bed, and then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, I can't remember what I remembered last night. I don't know how to fix it now, and it happens so often to me.
No,
So,
actually, I have the moment,
mhm.
this is not a joke, when I'm showering in the
Yeah,
morning.
the shower's the
And
best place to have ideas. Yeah,
the
100%.
magical place where I'm already starting to debug something in my head,
Yeah.
like, that
It's
yes,
because
and
it's
then I
because because you're not focused on it and you're just casually thinking about it. You think about things that you would never have thought of when you were like hyper focused. So it's
yeah.
always the best way of figuring out a solution to things, I find. So in terms of everything that you've done when it comes to Stumpfest, is there anything that you're specifically proud of when it comes to all the work you put in?
Um, well, I already said as I said, I was working a lot on the character, and
Mhm.
overall, I'm actually proud of how it looks.
Just yeah, I mean
How
the animations itself, I remember when I first picked it up and it was ragdoll, and I was like, "This is cool." And then I didn't play it for a couple of weeks, and I picked it up again for a play test we had. And then suddenly the character was doing like rolls and all these spins in the air and stuff, and it felt so much more like there was so much more structure to it. And I'm guessing, obviously, you had a hand in some of that as well.
Yeah, look, yeah, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this. Probably not if you don't are not part of the development. But yeah, for a long time, we had this ragdoll
Mhm.
in the air, right? And the character would just always be in ragdoll when he was moving outside of the car. And or me, uh, completely refactored this and got rid of this ragdoll state. Yeah, we couldn't really handle the physical animation of it. I
Mhm.
also, yeah, it was at some point we just decided, okay, this is not the way we want to go anymore,
Yeah.
and we want to have more, yeah, just a kinematic character.
Mhm.
And I was working isolated on my own branch
Yeah.
for I don't know 1 or 2 months, and it was just me working alone refactoring this code, and then there was a big reintegration of my branch into the main branch, and uh, it went so smoothly that I'm really proud of how smooth this transition went.
Hell
And
yeah.
then yeah, and then there were the people who never really played it, always still had the ragdoll, and then from one day to the other, it was the new character,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "What is this?
It
It's so
was such a
different."
big change, and I think it was definitely a change for the better. Don't get me wrong, I love a good bit
Yeah,
of ragdoll, but I love the way the character reacts to everything going on now. Specifically, if you hit the ground and you go into the forward roll, I'm like, yes, that is. It keeps the momentum, it keeps the flow going. It's just perfect. It's really good.
yeah, I agree. It was the right move. It
Mhm.
was the right move to change it. Although some people are sentimental about the ragdoll. If you ask, uh, I don't know who, but I mean, yeah, just watching those old footage sometimes, and then
Oh yeah.
we talk about, "Hey, the old footage. Hey, actually, why didn't we leave it like this? It was already so nice." But it's the
Oh
nostalgia
yeah,
speaking,
100%.
right?
Like I am somebody I think David showed me some of the early footage within the first couple of months of making the game. And people were like, "Oh, we should have kept this, that, or the other." I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
I think we've made the right calls up to now. Like, it looks really solid. Like the stuff that I'm seeing now. As I say, I've only been privy to it for about 3 months, 4 months. But the stuff that I'm seeing now looks like a really solid game. Whereas previously, it looked good, but it doesn't look anywhere near like it does now.
yeah. I think it changed a lot, and
Oh,
I'm
hugely.
already super looking forward to this blog when you compare it, because I want to see what people think
Yeah,
also
I'm
about.
So we are putting a we are doing a dev blog in tangent with these videos that you can check out on Steam. And the one that I'm working on currently is something of a glow up where we're going to be comparing what Stuntfest used to look like versus what Stuntfest looks like now. And I'm very excited to, even for myself, to see some of these comparisons, because I've seen a couple of comparisons which is literally like month on month. And even that is a big change. Whereas some of the early footage, I wouldn't look at that and be like, yeah, that's Stuntfest. I think that was a completely
Yeah.
different game. It's crazy,
I
absolutely
also love
crazy.
that we still have it, that and this is like footage just coming from some developer just, basically captured their screen here,
Yeah,
and it's so raw and, really pure development footage.
yeah,
It's nice.
hugely. It's the development bug footage that I quite like when someone's changed a value and they've added an extra zero by accident and hit play, and then something's gone critically wrong, but it makes for just the most wonderful footage. So
Yeah.
if there was one thing I asked Max this in our last interview, so I want to ask yourself because I'm really interested. If there's one thing that you could add out of anything to Stuntfest, what would you add?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. Uh, if I could add
Yeah,
something.
absolutely. And if there was just one mechanic or a certain car type or a character that you could add to Stuntfest out of anything, what would you add? I've put you on the spot a little bit here, I think.
No, let me think about it because I'd really like to explore the, options now. Like, if I could really just add anything, any mechanic, uh, I would just I would just really like to add, like, because maybe it's strange, but I'm actually not so much into, uh, racing games
Mhm. Yeah,
or
fair.
cars. And that's also why I probably got moved to the character because I wasn't so much into the whole vehicle thing. But I would like to have, instead of the cars, maybe also just have, for example, horses. You know, or
Yeah, I like it. Different.
like having I don't know, like a horse race, and then you jump off the horse, or something more ancient, like
So like chariot races and things like that.
yeah, yeah, with chariots,
Okay,
and
that's
then you have
cool.
like horses in the front and the character in the back, like doing
I could
the
still see that working with
uh,
Stumpfest. I could see that happening.
yeah, and then having that would be cool
It's
instead
quite
of the cars.
yeah, both you and Max have gone for vehicles so far, which I find really interesting. Max wanted to do a floating vehicle of like a super sci-fi one, and then you've gone the complete opposite into ancient times, which is really
No,
cool.
it should be less. It must be less sci-fi.
Less sci-fi, more ancient.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. It's different. I'm into it. I'm into it. So, do you? Even though you're not into racing games, I'm assuming when you play the game though, it's hitting the right notes even for somebody who isn't necessarily into a racing game, and you're having fun with it when you manage to play with it. Is that right?
Yeah. I remember the first time also. I mean, I like the mechanic of
Mhm. Yeah.
switching all the time.
Yeah. Same.
And also, and I mean, even we have a huge part of the game is also, for example, the glider race
Hmm.
that we have, where you are completely out of the
Oh
vehicle
yeah.
all the time. And I think it's this refreshing back and forth, and also having like just this all these different game modes. And in some game modes you maybe don't use the vehicle so much, and as in others, and but also you can always switch. So it gives so much variety to your play style, I think.
Yeah,
So
agreed. I definitely think there's a lot more versatility to how you play the game than just pressing the accelerator and going. You have to think if you want to be the best or you want to win, you have to think vertically. You have to think what's the best tool for this situation? How can I
and
get the best
even
racing
we
line but via the sky rather than the track?
Yeah, and even we keep like optimizing our own paths.
Yeah.
Every time we play or somebody discovers something, hey, if you in this level, if you eject here, and then maybe you actually take this one boost ring and then switch back to the card, then it's even faster. And we are trying to optimize
Oh yeah.
our own way.
We're still yet to be beaten from any member of the community so far, and as far as I'm aware, that we're going to keep it that way. They keep trying, but they haven't quite got there yet. But
Yeah,
it's
the shortcuts. Also, fun fact about the development inside. I think
mhm.
it's funny because if somebody of the team discovers a shortcut, we actually like name this shortcut
Oh,
after the
okay,
person. So we have
that's cool.
like in one level we have like, okay, this is the Bernhard or this is the Alex, and then hey, I'm doing the Alex and then I'm doing the Bernhard, or something like that. Or that's the conversations that we're having that are only we know what it
That's
means
great.
because
I
it's
do love
the
that. I hadn't heard those yet. Have you got one named after yourself yet?
I had one, but I think it was replaced,
Oh,
because mine was, then the Alex was superior, and that was mine was kicked out because of
see, now you just have to get even faster than Alex and get his kicked out.
yeah.
I need to work and get on my own now. I've heard about that. I didn't know about that, but now I do.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
is no Nate,
I'm gonna
so
sit there
you
and
have
keep
to
practicing until I figure one out. I'll come in one day and just beat everybody. Because I'll admit, I am generally always in the middle of the leaderboard, just ever so close to getting eliminated every
it's
time we
because you
play.
are rather new, you are just
I'm still
not,
getting used to it.
you
Give
have
me a
to
few
play
weeks
more.
of playing it, and then we'll be fine. It'll be crazy. So, when it comes to programming, is there anything that you'd suggest or recommend to people who want to get into the games industry and maybe follow in sort of your footsteps from going from education and then into programming? Is there anything you like recommend or any specific books or sources you lean on quite a lot?
Um, yes, I, can I mean, I don't want to make it advertisement here or something, but
No,
I
it's
can
completely fine. Anything that
definitely
you would use.
I think what helped me a lot
Mhm.
was, doing this, game dev TV, uh, tutorial this I bought like a whole bundle of things,
Yeah,
and I just it's like a video tutorials that you can do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I know there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube as well. So I mean, if you have like your favorite YouTuber or something, I just don't know.
Mm.
For me, it was just more in this direction, just buying this package there for I don't know. It was reduced, and then it was like 20 euros, and I got 8 courses or something. Like it was ridiculously cheap anyway, I think. And then I just yeah, this helped me a lot, to also to learn Unreal Engine specifically,
Mhm.
and because I already with C++, plus plus I was already quite good. I mean, it kind of depends where you're coming from. Like
Yeah.
when you really start, I was already working as a C++ plus plus programmer before,
Mhm.
so I feel like my programming skills were already quite solid. But for me, uh, the hard part was to get into the Unreal specifics, and
Okay.
that's just the best was to just do a to just let somebody explain it to me and just watch this
No, that
tutorial,
makes
and this
sense.
person just says, "Hey, this is works in the engine like this," and then it was just yeah.
Did you find you had to adjust quite a lot going from you the IT that or sorry, the programming that you were doing prior to gaming? There was a lot of adjustment to go from one field to the other, or was it pretty smooth?
it was yeah. Thanks to that I actually prepared myself a bit to work with
Yeah, it always
Unreal.
helps.
I it yeah, of course it was smooth.
Yeah.
But I think still if you don't have any I mean if you just start and you just open Unreal for the very first time in your life, I feel even like the user interface is already quite intimidating if
A hell of a lot of
you don't
buttons.
know what you're doing or what anything is.
Mhm.
So
Agreed.
I guess yeah.
So like I mean I've worked in Unreal in the past and when you first open it, like any sort of new software, it's very it can incite anxiety of how many different buttons and fields and variables and everything that are just instantly presented to you. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely I would say it helps to prepare. I mean I used Skillshare myself when it came to a lot of the stuff that I've
Yeah,
learned
I know this
because
also.
it's a big help when it comes to video producing, when it comes to lighting and cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, Skillshare has always been a big help for me. So yeah, online stuff's always really good.
And what I also can recommend or what I did, if I guess it's good if you apply somewhere, I mean, then you it's good if you can maybe already show
Mhm.
some projects.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always what people want to see. Have you already something to show for yourself?
Mhm.
And even if it doesn't have to be, you don't have to it doesn't have to be a really awesome, already published, super successful game that
Yeah.
you already did on your own or something. But just maybe participate in some game jams or something. That's what I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I
I've seen a
I
lot of those.
I also did just some game jam projects, and then it was completely simple mechanics, just to show that I implemented a little bit here, a little bit
Mhm.
there, and I think it just was. nice to see that I'm genuinely interested and that I did some projects on the side on my own, even though they really weren't the most impressive projects.
Yeah.
It was just to show something.
Because the
And
game jams are like the ones where you have to try and make a game in like 3 days or something like that,
yeah,
isn't it?
it was this weekend things,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I see some of those popping up on Steam and stuff all the time, and I love dipping a toe into them because they have some brilliantly unique mechanics because there's no pressure; they can just do what they want, and they're always super interesting to see what they've come up with.
yeah, and some people, I mean, when it's really on Steam, I think that it's even people who participated in a game jam and
Hmm.
then they really like the idea that came out of it so much that they just continued working on it and
Yeah,
they just finalized it and made it into a full project.
that's cool. Do you find yourself continuing to work on stuff outside of work as well? Then do you find yourself programming just if you've got a spare like couple of hours at home, you'll tinker away on little projects and stuff?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have this tendency.
I don't
I'm
know anybody who
actually
doesn't.
yeah, it's crazy, but I'm learning Blender right now.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Also with Game Dev TV. It was part of the bundle. What
Yeah,
can I
may as well
say?
get the most out of
Uh,
it.
yeah, and no, I really like. I'm getting a bit into 3D modeling and stuff like that now, and
Mhm.
I would like to just be able to make my own complete game from
You made a game
scratch.
from
Like
scratch, start to finish.
yes,
Okay,
and
that's cool.
I'm doing this with on I'm using Godot, the this completely uh uh free game engine. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't even have any. It's completely open source. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
complete.
cool.
So, and that's what I'm using. And I'm using this Godot and Blender, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Good. It's awesome. It's always it's so awesome to see people who when the stuff they do for work is also stuff that they're so passionate about outside of work, and you can instantly see that like with yourself because as soon as you start talking about it there's just a giant smile, and it always just feels really awesome when people are so enthusiastic about what they do for work. And I've found, again, only being in the game industry for a short period of time, but I found most of the people that I've worked with so far are so passionate about the art they make and the things they do. It shines through even outside of work as well. And that's always awesome to see. And it seems like Stumpfest is really bringing out the best in a lot of the people that I've met so far.
Yeah,
So
I
that's cool.
can.
So one final question then, when it comes to Stuntfest, and I maybe should have asked this a little bit earlier, but I'm always interested about this. When it comes to all the things you've done so far within development, is there one challenge specifically that you've had that still haunts you, that you're still like, I lost so many hours sleep a night because of this one issue we had? Do you have anything like that?
Yes, yes. I not only one. I no, I have. Um. So since I'm also rather new to I mean, I'm new to the gaming
Mhm.
industry,
Yeah.
and I have to say that everything I have worked on in this project so far was always rather my first time really getting in touch with this.
Yeah.
Like everything in the beginning, it was with the ragdoll, you know, and with the physics, and
Mhm.
then it was always my first time. Okay, how does this physics calculations work? How does this uh, I don't know, actors getting detached when you
Yeah.
start setting a body to simulating physics and suddenly it loses the attachment. And for me, it's a lot of unpredictable things that
Oh, hugely.
if you know Unreal, then it's like, yeah, that's so normal because that's just how Unreal works. But if you don't know this yet, and then it's always a little, I had a lot of surprise moments
Mhm.
where I got surprised by how Unreal is doing things, and and it was uh, always just then a lot of googling and or
Yeah.
going deeper into the code and looking. Okay, this is how the engine is doing this. Interesting, and it happened a lot, and there were a lot of these little hurdles, you know,
Yeah.
that I had to jump over just because I didn't have the experience yet,
But
and
it's one of those things that you expand your experience the more you come across these difficulties, and the more you Google different things, that library of knowledge grows and grows and grows.
yeah, I can definitely feel that. I think it's the learning curve, right? In the
Mhm.
beginning, it's
Yeah,
super steep. because you know nothing, and then you everything is new. And I had this, that I had a very steep learning curve, but it's also rewarding
Yeah.
because I'm really glad that I know all of this now, and it definitely will help me with the next project as well. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you've gone from being in the games industry to now making your or starting to make your own game from start to finish, which clearly shows that you've learned a hell of a lot within the project of Stuntfest and the game jams that you've done previously. So, well, that's pretty much it. All we've got time for today, unfortunately. But thank you very
oh,
much for joining me and answering some questions and letting me pick your brain about Stuntfest and your role as a programmer. I really appreciate it. I would very much like to have another chat with you once we're able to show off a bit more of what's we've got in store with Stuntfest. So if you would be so kind to join me again in the future, that would be awesome.
yeah, I would like that as
Good.
well. And
I'm glad you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Is there anything you would like to say to anybody before we disappear?
yeah, I mean, I'm now back to fixing bugs and preparing for summer of stunts, and then actually then I'm being on vacation. And I just want to say I really hope that people will like what we're doing and enjoy the game. And I cannot wait for the reactions because I really want to know how people will react, and I hope they will like it.
Yeah, same. We had a little play test the other day with community members, and the noises they were making were just unreal. It was so good to feel that energy coming from people who only just booted up the game and instantly were getting excited about it. It was very cool. Well, again, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who's watched today. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next one. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.